Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Book of Grudges. My name is Nathan and there's a little bit of news regarding Realms of Ruin, the new RTS game for Age of Sigmar. They were actually live streaming a little bit before this and showcased it. I was streaming that too and just discussing it. But now we have the full video of the faction focus for the Stormcast Eternals. Now, I will say very quickly, it's not really a faction focus. It goes into a little bit of detail, shows a little bit of gameplay, but it's not really a deep dive onto the Stormcast Eternals as far as I've seen. However, there are a few things which are quite interesting, so what we're going to do is we're going to let the video play and stop in any various points that, we need to discuss. So, let's not waste any more time and jump right in.
Peggy 16.
The Stormcast Eternals are mortal heroes that have been transformed into supernatural warriors in the forges of Azir. Each the embodiment of Sigmar's storm. They are the God King's wrath made manifest, and they were created for one single purpose: outright war. While they may be few, when a Stormcast Eternal falls, they are brought back time and time again to fight anew. In Warhammer, Age of Sigmar, Realms of Ruin, you will command the mighty Stormcast Eternals in their quest to defend an ailing Dawnbringer settlement from unrelenting raids by the wicked and savage Orc Kruleboys.
Okay, one thing to note, because the developer interview, which we'll probably cover in length tomorrow, and also was mentioned here, is a lot of Dawnbringer stuff. Obviously, that's stuff that's not been showcased yet by Games Workshop. The Dawnbringer Crusades are starting relatively soon. They've already started hinting that. It's very likely that the Dawnbringer Crusades will lead on to 4th edition Age of Sigmar, so I guess this is kind of like finally, Games Workshop have realized that cross-promotion works very, very well. They've also got Gavin Thorpe as the writer of this story, who I can imagine is also doing some stuff for 4th edition. So yeah, this is pretty cool. I know it doesn't really mention anything for regards to the game here, but it's cross-promotion, right? Lore there is lore here, and vice versa, I guess.
Sigrun, commander of a detachment of Stormcast Eternals, embarks on a perilous mission to the wild and savage swamps of Gur. She seeks to obtain a great artifact that will help them turn the tides against the Orc menace.
Alright, we're getting a little bit of campaign narrative here. I'm imagining that all 4 factions will have some sort of linked narrative. But the Stormies themselves are looking for a great artifact to push back the Orcs. That's all well and good, fits with theming and so on. There's a lot of weird stuff in Gur, so I imagine there must be something really cool here. At least we're getting little hints of the narrative so far, because obviously this game is probably still a bit away from release. We're getting some information on the beta. Hopefully that also gives us a little bit of narrative talk here and there, because narrative is important for a Warhammer game. I know it's not for so many people, but for me it is, because, long-time Warhammer fan.
The Stormcast Eternals are a robust, elite army that excel when fighting in a combined force of frontline fighters and ranged attackers.
Alright, we get to talk about the UI right now, as, we've been covering this a lot, but it looks like we can see the active troops down there. It's a bit big. I guess that makes sense, because that's what you control, but I hope there's like a rescale option, which would be kind of nice. For accessibility reasons, right? Even you could make it larger if you so need to. The map itself looks pretty interesting. It's a small map. Doesn't look like it's a 50-50 scale type of map where everything is split up. Obviously, I don't know if this is a campaign mission or even a multiplayer mission, but it does look like it's got like 3 points, and then obviously you've got your main camps for each. I like seeing maps that aren't mirrored, you know what I mean, right? That they're perfectly balanced, or else that's just going to be a bit annoying. It works for multiplayer, but like there should be some which have a clear imbalance here and there, just for the sake of, variety. One thing which is pretty interesting is that Charge and Furious Retribution, which seem to be on the abilities area, well, Charge is a ability, it costs resources. It's going to be a bit weird to see how that works. And it looks like you control a unit and then you can do an ability, because like you've got right trigger and left button there, which is because this is playing on a console. This game is actually going to be available on consoles and is going to have crossplay. Can't wait to see how that's going to work. Mostly because I haven't really played that many games that are crossplay, to be honest, at least as far as I'm aware.
Their access to a variety of different troops and reliance on well-rounded forces requires a hefty investment of resources to hold their ground. The steadfast Stormcast Eternal heroes have abilities to heal and resurrect fallen units, or lead from the front with devastating charges and powers that call down the storm to obliterate enemies.
Right, so far so good. I like what we've seen. There's some really cool animations here. The fact is, the game does look really, really good. One question I do have, and I haven't really played the Stormies in 3rd edition much, mostly because, well, I've been busy with loads of other things. As you can tell, I'm a quite active channel, and right now I don't really get too much time to play tabletop, unfortunately. Plus, I've been on the 10th edition hype train because 10th edition. But can Stormies actually revive other Stormies? I thought the reforging process was done throughout a other system. It wasn't just a Stormcast reviving other Stormcasts. However, if I'm wrong, please point that out, because at the end of the day, you know, I'm not a all-knowing person. I get some stuff wrong just like everyone else. Alright, so this is how you recruit units. You've also got the tech tree there, but they don't showcase the tech tree. Not a lot of units, but then again, this could be considered early game. Quite a few of them, to be honest, even a ballista too. And it looks like there's a queue system there, so you can queue them up, because it does take time to recruit them, which is good. No instant recruitment. That's actually not too bad, so you're going to have to plan ahead. I'm a big fan of the units not just popping out, because there are some games in a similar style that do that, and it just becomes Horde Simulator. So yeah, I'm actually quite keen on this. And there is unit caps, so you can see that with the character up on the top right. Unit caps are good. That means it's not going to be all spammed. Because if there is going to be a Warhammer game, there's going to be units which are obviously better than others. So not being able to spam them horrendously is going to be awesome. It's going to keep things more balanced. So far, so good. I will point out that some units do cost 1 resource, which I'm imagining is the most basic one. And some other units cost others, like they cost 2 resources. So this is going to be a lot of management when it comes to special units and so on. Okay.
As commander, you'll have access to a wide range of units, including annihilators, formidable and elite soldiers, emboldened by impervious thunderstrike armor and devastating meteoric hammers, prosecutors, warrior heralds of Sigmar, who soar through the battlefield at incredible speeds, unhindered by the grasping swamps of Gur. And finally, the mighty Stormdrake Guard, dragon-riding knights capable of annihilating enemy hordes with lance, claw, and righteous wormflame.
Alright, before we jump into the actual feature focus, which is direct step, this is why I said it wasn't really much of a faction focus, because they showed a few units and that's pretty much it. I would love to see a deep dive, maybe even a blog regarding all the units, giving some little bit of fluff and so on. We had something similar for Total War Warhammer 3, but stuff like that is very helpful, especially since Age of Sigmar isn't as well known as Warhammer Fantasy and Warhammer 40k. This will be a great way to introduce people to the actual characters. There is a little thing where they say that one unit is really fast and they fly at incredible speeds. They're a bit slow. Other than that, they look fantastic. The freaking Dragon Rider is just awesome. Like, wow.
Issuing the right commands is just as crucial as the squads you bring to the battlefield. When playing with a gamepad, you'll have access to an innovative control scheme that gives you the tactical flexibility you need to conquer your enemies. With the direct step system, you'll enjoy the immediacy of traditional real-time strategy controls mapped onto a controller. Issue orders, snap instantly between squad selections, and use a classic RTS camera view to survey distant forces and objectives. Then experience the pounding heart of battle up close and execute precise commands as the clash intensifies. Direct Step enables you to quickly respond to the conflict as it evolves, activating squad abilities, creating groups of squads, and balancing a war across multiple fronts.
Alright, so the gameplay is pretty much almost done. We do find out a few things. Command groups do exist. That's great. Obviously, that's something very important for RTS games, especially, well, you know, Warcraft, Total War, pretty much any of the big names there. Direct Step is looking to be quite cool. It says it's there for gamepad. I'm imagining, or at least I'm hoping, that it's going to be available for the PC players also, because that's actually quite a good system. This means that you can have them go from one area to another, but also taking a specific route, which going to be very useful. I imagine a lot of people won't be using it for like a campaign and stuff like that, but obviously when it comes to multiplayer, especially ranked, competitive multiplayer, stuff like that is going to be quite good. I'm curious to see how it's going to work for the gamepad. I do not play with gamepad, I will be very honest with you. I'm just mouse and keyboard. I would like to see how that goes, because I do like a little bit of Warcraft 3. I am still playing that a lot, so having a more modern type game, especially in a Warhammer setting, might be what I need to just bring me over.
The Stormcast Eternals are just one of 4 factions coming to Warhammer, Age of Sigmar, Realms of Ruin.
Alright, so again, I wouldn't really call this a full faction focus, I'd call it a faction highlight, but it's good to see them showcasing some units, showcasing how the game's going to work, showing new mechanics too. I think that's actually quite good. The direct step stuff looks quite interesting. Ultimately, I do have to be critical of these things, because I am a long-standing Warhammer fan, and I do look at everything with, you know, optimism, but obviously with a pinch of salt and some cautiousness, because it's still a Warhammer setting. I am looking forward to this. I do think that it's very, very cool so far. I do like the visuals. The fact that you can zoom in quite a lot to watch the battle. I'm not sure how that's going to work, obviously, for multiplayer, because you're going to want to keep on your toes. But for the cinematic style gameplay that you get during a campaign, yeah, you're going to be able to see the units do a lot of cool shit. I could make an educated guess and think like if they're showcasing a mechanic with a faction focus, the next time that they do another faction focus, I'm assuming with the Cruel Boys, as that's the other revealed faction, they'll probably do something similar, maybe going into details about like the control points. I'd love to know more about them. We had some information, but I'd love like a really dedicated segment going into detail regarding that. Or they could just throw a curveball and showcase something else. I want to know more about the maps. I want to know how everything's going to work. I must say, I am fairly excited about this. It's very Companies of Heroes 2, Dawn of War 2. We actually did get told in the developer live stream, which again I'll cover in more detail tomorrow, that they do have a retreat function too, so that obviously reminds me of Dawn of War 2, which is actually a good thing. It was very important that the devs actually stated that they know what they wanted to make, and they didn't want to break the wheel. What they wanted to do is get a RTS game in this style and, you know, improve upon it rather than just drastically change it into something else, which, again, something that I can admire from the developers there, considering that we had someone try to break the wheel before and they created a game that, yeah, we're just not going to mention, are we? I will say that if you're looking a bit worried about this title and so on, don't be. I feel like the main thing is going to be in the beta test, which is happening on the 7th of July up to the 10th, I believe, which also on the developers live stream, and this is once again why I'm feeling fairly positive about it, the developers didn't mince words. They literally said, look, we want you to help us, we want you to jump in there and see what you can find, provide feedback. This is honesty from a developer, which you don't really hear a lot from, because normally when it comes to open betas from a lot of developers, they just say, look, we just want to showcase the game, showcase what you're playing. And it's like, no, just be very honest. You want some feedback, because this is very, very important. I love the fact that there is a bit of honesty here. There is open discussion. It makes me believe that this title is actually going to be fairly decent. So we're going to have to wait and see, obviously. But until then, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Let's start a bit of discussion. Again, I know a lot of you guys are Warhammer Fantasy fans and so on. Just come with an open mind. If I can do it, and I've been, 27 years playing Warhammer Fantasy since I was 4 years old, then you can do too. We're still getting Old World. We still have Total War Warhammer. It's not changing anything. Just means more Warhammer games, and really that's all we want, right? More Warhammer games more often, more good Warhammer games more often, let's just say it that way, right? But have a great day, guys. Well, evening, because this is a fairly late video. I'll see you all again very, very soon.